Welcome back, Middle Age Grind. And today I want to share something with you today in a video. And it may look a little clickbaity. I promise you it's not. Okay? And what this is about is a race to get $100,000. And that's an arbitrary number, right? And this isn't investment advice. This is just an example. Okay? And what would happen if you would race to get $100,000 invested and get a historical return, even though it's not guaranteed, in the S&P 500 index funds? You can find them anywhere. Vanguard started these over 50 years ago, I believe. But now you can get an index fund, S&P 500, on any brokerage house. Fidelity, Robinhood, M1, Schwab, T. Rowe Price. It's all out there, okay? So this isn't about the availability. This is just about an example of what happens if you get $100,000 invested by age 30. Picked an arbitrary number. And I went over this with a couple of my kids yesterday, and they had very good, poignant questions, and I'll try to share some of that. But what would happen if you got your first job, say 22 to 24 after you graduate college or do your trade school or whatever, even if you're just working, and you did whatever you could do to race to get that $100,000 in by age 30. And then for this example, it's going to be, don't even continue investing, just stop. Just get to 30, get $100,000 in S&P 500 fund, illustrative purposes only, historical rate of return. What would that look like? Okay? And that's what I'm about to share with you now. I'm going to flip this screen over. Okay? And this is all from a compound interest calculator I got off of the computer. You can go Google anything. So at 37, all right, if you put $100,000 in at age 30, all right, your money would be $221,000. 44, right under 500, and I rounded these numbers. 51, you'd have $1 million. 58, 2.8. 65, you'd have $5.3 million. Wow. Okay? Interest, guys. So what do I mean by racing to get that 100? Well, the quicker you get that money in there at an early age, the faster your money grows. Okay? So I know for a lot of people, did I kind of know this stuff when I was that age? A little bit, but not really. This isn't really taught in schools. And that's some of the questions I got when two of my daughters, I was going over with this with them yesterday, was, why they don't teach us this, Dad? I don't know. I don't know. But what that does in those numbers I showed you, and think about it, I bet you know a lot of people who are 65 and older probably don't have close to that kind of money. And the pretty cool thing about it is, let's say you start working at 22, okay, your first real job, all right? I mean, I say real job, career type. That's only $12,500 a year from age 30 you got to put away, all right? And the last video I shared with you was The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins' book, and he has three main principles. And I believe I covered them, but I'm going to cover them now if I didn't. Number one, live on less than you make. And his savings goal, okay, was to put away 50% of his income. And he did that throughout his life. A lot of people will say that's unattainable. And I will say this, if you're my age and you have 4 kids and you got a life, it will be very, very hard to do that with the commitments that you have. That's why it's important to race to get this 100,000 when you're at a young age. And when you're just out of college, let's use that as an example. Let's say you're 22. You're out of college, you start your first job, all right? You're making today somewhere around the 50,000, 60,000 range. You can put away 12,500 per year. It is totally attainable, right? And that's what this is about. The second principle is put it in a low-cost, broad-based index fund. Okay, this is where the S&P 500 fund comes into play. And this 12%, the historical rate of return over the past 50 years, actually it's about 12.1%, all right? And then the third thing is avoid debt at all costs. Don't do this by going into relentless debt, because that's a chain. Of all the videos I'm making and the ones I'm making for my kids, I hope this is the one they watch as I try to drill this stuff through their head. And because what happens, guys, if you can attain anything close to this, and one of the questions I got from my daughter was, Dad, what if I only get, 90,000 in there? I said, you know what, baby? That's great. This is just an example. The closer you get to these numbers, just the more money you're going to have. And money, the thing J.L. Collins says, and he's right. He goes, I wanted my daughter, he said this, to get the money part right early on, because if she did, life would be a lot easier and a lot less worry. Because if you don't get the money part right, and you grow up, you have a family, you're living paycheck to paycheck, as you get in your older years, money's going to be a source of stress, angst, just bad, just totally bad. And that's what you want to avoid. When you do this, and you do this early on and just try to knock it out, you have options in life. You have agency, meaning that you can do what you want to do and don't feel you have to work at a soul-crushing job, right? So I wanted to share this with you today. It's not a long video, but I think it's a very important video. Sock money away. Put it in a low-cost, broad-based index fund. Not investment advice. Just an example. And the quicker you do it, the earlier you do it, the easier it is. And in this example, guys, this is stopping at age 30, right? So I just showed you these numbers here. Look how crazy. So go put in a calculator. If, let's say, you get to the 100,000 at 30, you're putting in 2,000 a month. If you want stupid numbers, you're talking, instead of that 5 million at that age, it could be more like 15 to 20 million. It's unbelievable, right? This is just an example of how important it is to start early. I shared a video, I believe it was last year, on what we do. I started a little bit later in life investing for different reasons. Started a business, had a family, put a little bit away, not a lot, and then at 37 really ramped it up. Once you get to my age, I'm 43, that $12,500 a year needs to be a lot more, because I don't have the time, in other words, at age 65, 70, to get those numbers unless I'm putting in a whole lot more. So just wanted to share this video with you today. Hope you have a great weekend. Race to get that 100,000 in if you're a young person. Even if you're an older person, okay? Let's say you're 40 and you get it done. And at age 75, you have the 5 million. We're living a lot longer, guys. Let's face it, with AI, technology, we know, what's healthy for us now more than ever. Chances are you're going to live a long, long life if you're even in like my age now, hopefully, God willing. So do what you can to get this in there and to really, really, really give you options in life. Money is buying your freedom. It's not some sort of bragging, egotistical thing. It's about buying your freedom, buying, time to do things you want to do on your terms. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. And I'll see you real soon on the Middle Age Grind.